Hey guys, welcome back to Official Bravo Nation. This is episode number 17, and today we are going to be recapping Love is Blind Season 6, The Reunion. So we start the reunion off with former contestants, and the first person I noticed was Giannina. Giannina was part of Season 1, the Lauren and Cameron season. She was the Latina who ran out of the chapel in her wedding dress, and her mother was screaming in Spanish because she said yes and Damien said no. Giannina is pregnant. She's pregnant by Blake. Blake was on The Bachelorette. He was the runner-up on Becca Kufrin's season of The Bachelorette. And he and Giannina they're in love. They're having their first child together. So that was really nice to see. And we see Chelsea and Kwame from Season 4. And the couple that everyone loves so much, Tiffany and Brett from Season 4 also. And then there's two couples from Season 3. Now, I skipped Season 3 of Love is Blind. After watching Season 2, The Reunion, and the whole shake thing, I was like, you know what, I'm done with this show. And so I completely skipped Season 3. But when Season 4 aired, it got so much noise. Everybody was just talking about Season 4, Love is Blind. So I was like, okay, let me go back and see. Let me go look. So I went back to watch Season 4, and then I tried to watch Season 3, but it's like I had missed the moment. Like, I just didn't have any interest in watching Season 3. I just couldn't get into it, but I loved Season 4, and I was like, okay, I'm hooked again. So when Season 5 came, I was back on it. But yes, there are two couples there from Season 3. I'm like, who are these strangers? I don't know who these people are, but of course, I skipped that season. And then there's Izzy. Izzy was from Season 5. Remember Izzy and Stacy? And Izzy had the bad credit. He's there. And Micah. Micah was part of Season 4. And she was one of the mean girls, her and Irina. So she's there. And all of the former contestants, they're all sitting in the front row. I guess they're there to help Nick and Vanessa move the show along. Or maybe Netflix was trying something new. The production company wanted to try something new because Season 5 reunion was pretty boring. So I can understand why they wanted to change it around this year. So it was nice to see them though, But the reason we are all here is for Season 6 and the crazies in that cast. And they all come out and the drama starts right away with Jeremy, Laura, and Sarah Ann. Laura is in Barcelona, Spain. She's working there, and so she is at the reunion via Zoom. Jeremy comes out in a Hawaiian shirt. He looks completely ridiculous. Of course he does. And Nick asks him, are you seeing anyone? And Jeremy says, yes, he's seeing someone. And then Nick says, here she is, come on out. And it's Sarah Ann, the pick-me from the pods. She has prom hair. She's dressed like a Toddlers and Tiaras contestant. She has glitter all over her body. I've never seen someone look so obnoxious. And then Nick just gets right into it. He talks about the third woman that Jeremy had. So while Season 6 was airing, a woman went on social media and said Jeremy was engaged to her daughter when he was filming Season 6 of Love is Blind in the spring of 2023. And Jeremy responded in the video and said, yes, he told production and he told all the women that he dated in the pods that he had just recently broke off an engagement and sold his home. And so he said that he had been single for a couple of weeks when a producer for Love is Blind reached out to him via Instagram. Now, I have heard this before. Izzy's in the audience from Season 5. He said that's how he got cast on the show. So apparently Love is Blind production company, they go they're in Charlotte. So they'll go on dating apps in Charlotte looking for single people, mostly single men, because I think most of the women apply to the show because most of the women are eager to get married. But, single heterosexual men are so hard to find and they're hard to cast. So the production company, they go through those dating apps looking for single men in Charlotte, and that's how they cast a lot of the male contestants. And Jeremy said that's what happened to him. So I believe that because I heard Izzy say that last season. And but I noticed something. When Jeremy was at the reunion, he said he applied to be on the show. So I don't know if that was a slip up or what, but Jeremy is such a liar. Who knows what the truth is? But Laura does corroborate his story and say he did tell her that he had just recently broken off an engagement. So he didn't lie about that. He did tell her and tell production that he had just recently, ended an engagement. So he told the truth for once. But Vanessa just gets right into it. She asked him, why did you lie to Laura about your location? Now, remember in episode 9, Jeremy and Laura, they broke up because Jeremy pretended to give Laura his location, but in reality, he put his phone in his car and then got in the car with Sarah Ann and drove away. But the idiot was still wearing his Apple Watch. So Laura still knew where his location was. He claims that he didn't do anything wrong. He doesn't know. He just gives some BS answer and say him and Sarah Ann, they didn't do anything wrong. They were just talking all night. And no one believes either one of them. Laura says he's lying and calls him a clown. And then Sarah Ann is there. She's all hostile with Laura. Like, how dare you call me a pick-me? You're the pick-me. And then Jess tells her, you're the pick-me, sweetie. And they're just going back and forward. And Laura says Jeremy's lying. Jeremy said Laura's trying to make him look bad. And Laura says that night was him when he went to see Sarah Ann with his whole location thing. That was the same day that he met her parents. Like they couldn't have been more in love that day. She was so hopeful. She said every day they would check in with each other, like percentage wise, like where are we as far as getting married? And she said it never went below 80%. So she had no idea, that day when he left, he kissed her goodbye. She had no clue what was coming. She thought everything was good. They were in love and they were going to get married. So that really sucks for Laura. Then we see footage from the barbecue from hell where Sarah Ann and Laura are having a conversation about it, like a woman to woman, like, Barbara, this is Shirley kind of conversation, and they're good with each other. But Laura says that Jeremy only cares about his image, like, be careful with him. He's not who he says he is. And the only thing he cares about is that he doesn't look as bad as Jimmy. So Jimmy caught a stray. He's sitting there on the couch. And Jimmy said that when he was deciding between Jess and Chelsea, Jeremy said to him he can sleep good tonight knowing that Jimmy is the villain. Jeremy really is an asshole. He claims he never said that, and then he apologized to Jimmy for saying it, whatever. He really is an asshole. Like, who says that about your friend? What a jerk. And apparently Sarah Ann unfollowed all the girls after the barbecue, after her and AD had their little talk. Sarah Ann unfollowed them but kept following the men, which annoyed Chelsea. But she's like, you guys were hostile to me. You took me out of the group chat. Apparently Jess took Sarah Ann out of the group chat because it just wasn't good for her. Because AD, Amy, Chelsea, they were all Team Laura. So Jess took her out of the group chat. So none of them deal with Sarah Ann. Sarah Ann, she's just an idiot. But Vanessa asked them, have they seen Jeremy since the filming ended? And Chelsea said, yes, she's seen him. And every time she sees him and Sarah Ann are broken up. Sarah Ann's like, that's not true. And Jeremy said that he only saw Chelsea once. But he does admit that he and Sarah Ann have had a lot of trials and tribulations. But in October 2023, they decided that they loved each other and they were going to live together. And, it's like, okay, they're together. Sarah Ann and Jeremy, they're together. They live together. Laura says she is dating someone new. She has a great career where she gets to travel all over the world. So it worked out for everyone in the end, like it always does. So, but they're about to let Laura go, and she wants to address the bean dip situation. Remember on the beach in the DR when the bean dip, she told Jeremy to bean dip AD and like hitting her nipple. But Laura, she apologizes for that. She says she apologized then. She'll apologize again if she had to. But it was a joke. She didn't mean it to get out of hand like that. And then Jeremy apologizes for it also. And then they let Laura go. And that's the end of Laura, Jeremy, and Sarah Ann. And then Trevor comes out. Trevor is the big country boy who we later found out was a fuckboy and was lying and had a girlfriend the entire time. And the two of them planned this whole thing so he can get clout or become an influencer or whatever. But he comes out on the stage looking like a dum-dum. And then Nick and Vanessa read the text. The text from him and his girlfriend is so cringe. And he's just sitting there and he doesn't have anything to say. And they ask him, what do you have to say for yourself? For you lied to us, you lied to Chelsea. And he's like, I don't know. I had something planned, but I don't know what to say. And then AD is like, say it. Say it with your whole chest. And he's just sitting there looking. He has nothing to say. He doesn't know what to say. Then he finally gets something out. He claims he wasn't dating her. Even though in the text he's telling her he loves her and he wants to marry her, he's saying he wasn't dating her. He's still lying. And Chelsea says that there was a reason why, because we were all like, why didn't she pick Trevor? But Chelsea said that in the past she felt something. She couldn't explain what it was, but there was something that kept her from picking him and choosing Jimmy. And he apologizes to Chelsea, though. That's who he really owe an apology to, is Chelsea and production. No, he owed us an apology to the audience because he is lying to us. We didn't ask him for his lies. We don't know him. He just came out and lied to us. So he owes all of us an apology. But he claims that he don't give a fuck what the audience says, and that he will give Chelsea the clarity that she needs if she wants it. But he's sitting there, he's so uncomfortable, and he asks Nick, can he leave? And before Nick lets him leave, he just points out that it's not cool to apply to this show looking for clout. It's not fair to the people who are there really looking for love. And then Nick just tells him, yeah, now you can go. And then Trevor leaves, and that's the end of Trevor. Trevor should have declined the invite because he actually looked worse. Like, he should have just kept his mouth shut. But I think he's so thirsty for attention. He was like, I don't care if I look stupid or what. He was coming on TV, and he brought his ass out here, and he just looks like he didn't put any effort in what he was wearing. He has on a weird shirt. His mullet is like uneven. He's like, why are you here? Go away. So Trevor leaves, and then we see a person in the audience with a sign that says AD all day. So now we are getting to the AD and Clay segment. So AD says that they didn't speak after the altar. After he said no at the altar, she said she needed a break from him. They didn't speak. And then Clay contacted her. And she said he contacted her first. She wanted that to be known. AD said it was not normal to watch yourself on TV having a meltdown. And Clay, he gets emotional during this segment. He says, first he apologizes to AD and her mom and her sisters. And he said he's been having a hard time and that he made a mistake, that AD is the love of his life. And Vanessa asks AD, would she ever date Clay again? And AD is like, next question. And then she asks Clay, would he date AD? And he says, absolutely, 100%. She's the love of his life. And AD is like, nope, you had your chance. I low-key feel like you played in my fucking face. And then Clay's like, I'm sorry. He's just very apologetic, very emotional, saying that he didn't put in the work that he should have before he came on the show. He claims he wants to be a good guy. AD tells him, you are a good guy. And he said he credits AD with his growth, that he's grown. Like she said at the altar, she felt like a sacrifice. Like he used her to grow. And he said again that, she helped him grow. I don't know what that means. I'm having a hard time with Clay because I'm kind of not believing him. But then I know that's not fair for me to say that because I don't know him personally. And maybe he is sincere and he is sorry. And maybe he does miss AD and realize what he had and that he lost a really good woman. Then Vanessa asked AD, what does she think about the scene with Clay's parents that I talked about in the finale episode about the broken homes? And AD said watching that scene was helpful because she realized that Clay had so much damage that there was nothing she could do. She got to see the dynamics between his parents and see how his father really kind of screwed him up. And she said something that was so profound. She said, I did not want to be Clay's mother. And I loved when she said that because Ella, I feel like that's a huge thing where Black women are seen as maternal and not as, she wants to be his wife. She doesn't want to be his mom. And then I was like, is she saying I don't want to be his mom, as in she doesn't want to be in a position with a husband who's constantly cheating on her? Or is she trying to go against a stereotype? I don't know. I got a little confused right there. But Clay did say something that really struck me. He said he doesn't know how to be a husband. Like, he's talked about his father, Trevor. He said his dad never apologized for the trauma he inflicted on them. And Clay still, once again, said, my dad's a good dad. His dad, he wasn't a good dad, but he doesn't see it that way. And that's his father. So he, he loves him unconditionally. And he said he doesn't judge him. But he said no one taught him how to transition from like a athlete, a rock star lifestyle to being in a committed monogamous relationship. He's like, he always see happy wife, happy life, but he never sees it from the husband perspective, which I agree with that. That is true. And when you come from a broken home, there's no pamphlet. No one tells you this is what you do. You turn 18 and you just kind of have to figure it out. And so I can understand him. I understand him struggling to figure it out and not really knowing what to do, wanting to do something, but not knowing what to do or how to do it. So I just feel like in that situation, you just do it. Like, just don't cheat. I don't know. He seemed like he's struggling with the monogamy part. And if he is, then don't get married. Just don't get married and stay single and just date around. But then he wants a committed relationship. But he doesn't know how to be faithful. Lord have mercy. He really does need therapy. I really do think he needs some years of therapy to help him figure this out, because it is a conundrum. And then Nick asked him about that scene. Remember that scene in the kitchen when Clay said he was watching Love is Blind? So he was watching Love is Blind season 4, and he was saying that he was nothing like this dude. He was talking about Brett from Tiffany and Brett. And Tiffany and Brett are in the audience. And, Brett, he's just appreciative that, Clay looked at him as like the role model of the perfect husband on Love is Blind or whatever. But Brett, he got emotional. He's saying that, he didn't come from a perfect family either. And that Tiffany has helped him a lot through their relationship. And it was just a really nice moment to seeing two black men up there on stage in public, being vulnerable. Both of them were crying. So, it helps. This helps. And, it helps other men will see that, you don't, just because you're crying and you're showing your emotions doesn't mean you're soft or you're weak. And, it's good to see. And I know that it'll be helpful to other young black men to see black heterosexual men crying and showing their emotions. So I really, really appreciated that scene. And then we go to Amy and Johnny. We see footage of them at home. They're being silly. And Nick asks each of them what's the best thing about their spouse. Johnny says the best thing about Amy is that she always understands his point of view. She hears him out. She listens to him. And, she understands him, and he really appreciates that. And Amy said the best thing about Johnny is that he's so gentle and so loving. And that they said they haven't had any fights. She said they've had disagreements, but they've never had any big knockdown, drag-out fights. They're just a really sweet couple. Like I said, this season 6, was made for Johnny and Amy to meet each other. They're just so sweet. And because they're so sweet and they don't have a lot of drama, they don't get a lot of airtime, which is unfortunate, but it's just the way of reality TV. The more drama you cause, the more airtime you get, and that's just the way it is. Good, quiet people, they don't make for great reality TV because people want to see drama. And unfortunately, Johnny and Amy, there's not a lot of drama there. I like their life. I like the way they live. I like that they're not screaming at each other. And so I'm just really happy for those two people. So in this segment, Nick and Vanessa, they go to the former contestants and they ask them questions from social media. So Chelsea and Kwame have the first question. And Chelsea asks Jess, did her daughter Autumn watch the show? And Jess says, yes, she let Autumn watch some clips. She didn't let her watch the entire show because, she's 10 years old. She's too young. But she says something that she realized is that Autumn had never seen her cry before because, in their life, she tries not to cry. She wants to be strong. But she said that her daughter seeing her cry actually is helpful to her because, she can see that, it's okay to release your emotions and that it doesn't make you weak. It means that you're strong. But no, she didn't let her watch all the episodes. Then Giannina asked Amy and Johnny, were condoms not an option? Remember, Amy and Johnny, their big issue was birth control. And Johnny said he had a lot to learn about birth control. He didn't know a lot. And Amy said, she had to teach him a lot about it. But in the end, they figured it out. They didn't say what exactly they did because, it's none of our business. So I guess they're practicing the rhythm method and keeping up with her ovulation schedule. But I'm happy to know that they figured it out. And then Alexia from season 3, she asked Chelsea, how does she feel about Jess sending Jimmy the DM? Remember that scene with Jess and Laura? They were in the bar and Jess was telling her how she sent Jimmy a DM. You know, he had sent her a friend request and then he took it back. And they just wanted to know, how did Chelsea feel about it? And Chelsea said, you know, she had a lot of insecurities, as we all witnessed, but she did feel like it was disrespectful. But she loves Jess. Chelsea and Jess are really good friends. And she said she loves Jess, but she did feel like it was disrespectful. And Jess apologized. She didn't do what Sarah Ann did. She didn't try to defend herself. She flat out said she was wrong. She didn't have any malicious intent, but that it wasn't right. It was disrespectful, and that Chelsea is her friend and she shouldn't have done that. She took accountability for it. You know, she didn't pass the buck. She said she was wrong, and that was it. And her and Chelsea are real friends, and they're in a good place. And then Micah asked Jimmy, how did his female friend feel when she saw Chelsea tell the audience that they had sex? And Jimmy said she was really upset. His girlfriend was really upset with him for Chelsea telling everybody that he had sex. And he said that was a turning point in their relationship. That's what Jimmy claims. I think the turning point in their relationship was when they met. But when they saw each other for the first time and he realized she didn't look like Megan Fox, Jimmy claims that when Chelsea broke his trust by telling us what he told her in confidence, that was a turning point in their relationship. And that's when he knew that they weren't going to get married. And Chelsea was very apologetic about it. She regrets that it happened, of course. And she kind of looks sad to me. I kind of feel bad for Chelsea because she gets a lot of hate online. But Nick and Vanessa asked the other women, were they surprised at Chelsea's behavior on the show? And AD said, yes, she didn't know that side of Chelsea. Of course, those women, they all kind of just met. And they're not in a romantic relationship with her. So they hadn't seen that side of her, that whiny, insecure, emotionally abusive side of her. Because let's be real, I do feel bad for Chelsea because she is getting a lot of hate. But Chelsea was emotionally manipulative and emotionally abusive. And that wasn't addressed in this reunion. I wish we would have gotten some answers from Chelsea. But AD, you know, she said she was surprised at how insecure Chelsea was when she was watching back the show. And then we go to the Jimmy and Jess segment. This segment surprised me the most. There seems to be some feelings there to me. That's what it feels like. There's something between Jess and Jimmy that's still there. They both say no, but I felt something. I feel more with Jess and Jimmy than I do for Chelsea and Jimmy. And it just seemed like there's some unfinished business. And it was their tone with each other. It was something that was just, I don't know, something that's not being said. But Nick talks about, remember the epic line when Jess said that when Jimmy sees her, he's going to choke and he's going to need his EpiPen. And Nick said the audience was disappointed that we didn't get to see his first reaction when he saw a picture of her. But Jimmy said, of course, she's a beautiful woman. And they panned the camera to Chelsea to see her response. She really doesn't have a response because everyone thinks she's probably jealous that Jimmy said that about Jess. But she's beautiful. She's a gorgeous girl. And that's just the truth. And then they say they're on good terms. But Jess said Jimmy did an interview recently that really pissed her off. And he basically in the interview said that she got a good edit and that she was very disrespectful to him. And their banter, to me, Jimmy feels hostile to Jess to me. It feels like boy in kindergarten who likes a girl, and instead of telling her he likes her, he punches her. Like, he feels hostile to me, his energy towards Jess. I don't understand where it's coming from. I guess watching the show back, Jess, she's getting a lot of, she has the most followers on social media. She's getting a lot of praise online. And he's getting a lot of hate. So I think part of it is that, just annoyed at that part. But maybe he feels that's unfair. But I feel like he has feelings for her, and he knows that he can't do anything about it because people will like, you wanted Jess the whole time, or Jess, she's really not into it. Something is there, something is weird between them, and it's not being said. And then they have this conflicting account of their last date. And Jimmy said that Jess left in 10 minutes, and Jess like, no, it was over an hour. And then Love is Blind shows us the receipts. And the damn date was 2 hours and 13 minutes. So Jimmy was way off. His energy is off with Jess. He really needs to work on that and figure out what's going on there, because there is something there. He is really hostile towards this girl, and it's just awkward to watch. Then we finally get to the Megan Fox of it all. Chelsea says she regrets saying that she had no idea that one little comment would take on a life of its own. It really has taken over the season. It's the story of season 6, the Megan Fox thing. And she has gotten badgered online. Like, I went to her TikTok and saw the comments, and it's just really nasty. And people are they're just sad to do that, to go and bully this girl like that. And she said, she's proud of herself, the way she's handled it, because she's making light of it. She's making jokes about it, because what is she going to do? Cry about it? No. In 2 weeks from now, people won't even remember. So I'm really proud of her, too, for the way she's handled herself, because it has to be really difficult. And then we see footage of Zach and Bliss baby shower. So Zach and Bliss were the couple from season 4. Remember, Zach chose Irina, and then it just did not work out. She wasn't attracted to him. They had a miserable time together. And then he went back and hooked up with Bliss. And Bliss, she really loved him. And they got married. And now they are having a baby. They're having a girl. So congratulations to Zach and Bliss. Then we finally get to Brittany and Kenneth. And Alexa from season 3, she asked Brittany, was she ever tempted to have sex to test out the crave, because that's what Brittany called it, like the sexual tension between two people in a romantic relationship. She called it a crave. And Alexa wanted to know, was she ever tempted to have sex? Brittany said no, she wasn't, and that she didn't need to have sex to know if she wanted to be with the person forever or not. That's amazing for her. That's probably would not work out for most people, but that's what she believes. And then they asked Kenneth about his phone. Kenneth was on his damn phone. He was not letting that phone go, but he said that it wasn't as bad as they showed. But he said he had been away from his school. Kenneth was the 25-year-old principal. And he said he had never been away from his school, his students, the parents, his teachers for 3 weeks. And that he was catching up with all of them. And he was constantly catching up with them. And that's what we were seeing. We weren't seeing him playing Candy Crush or just like ignoring Brittany. He really was checking up on his school and his students. He said that being a principal is the most important job to him. He loves it. He loves his students, and that he was talking to them, the students, the parents, and his teachers. And that's what he was doing. They were trying to make up for 3 weeks. So I do believe that. I didn't think he was playing Candy Crush. I didn't know what he was doing on his damn phone, but he loved that phone. But he said that, he does need to find a balance in life. His life is all about his career, and so he needs to find a balance so he can, find love also. And I hope he does find love. Kenneth and Brittany, they're BFFs. I think they're really nice people. Vanessa said seeing them speak to each other in the pods, it inspired her. Because after you've been with someone for so long, her and Nick, they've been together for 15 years. She said you start getting snippy with each other, but that Kenneth and Brittany, the way they spoke to each other, it reminded her, your partner is the person who you're supposed to give all your love and respect to. So they were inspirational to a lot of people also. And he did address the scene when they broke up and he was being really cold. He said everyone processes things differently and that he was really hurt when they broke up. And Clay said yes, he was. He called Clay apparently really broken up about it. He just didn't want to show us that on television. He didn't want to be vulnerable on TV, I guess. But he said, he was really hurt. And Brittany is his BFF. They talk every day. And, they was like, what's going to happen when we meet people? And, but we still need to be BFFs. So, maybe I felt the calmness between them. I didn't feel heat. I felt like, I don't know if I felt romance or heat, but I felt there was a connection. And it turns out that connection is friendship. And so that's really nice that, even though they didn't get married, they're not in a romantic relationship with each other, they're friends. They found a really good friend, and that was worth it. The whole thing was worth it, that you find your BFF. So I'm happy for Kenneth and Brittany. Then we finally get to Matthew. Matthew was the weirdo who gave off serial killer vibes, who was telling Amber and AD the same thing, but we never saw footage of him talking to Amber. And so we finally get to see that footage. I can see why Amber and Matthew's conversations weren't aired, because they were so boring and slow and dull, and they had no chemistry on camera. His conversations with AD, they were exciting. You can feel it. Like, I felt heat between AD and Matthew. I didn't feel any heat between Kenneth and Brittany. I felt heat between AD and Matthew. And seeing him with Amber, there was nothing there. And the conversation was just slow. It was really slow and just like, what the hell am I watching? So I see why they didn't air their conversations. But Matthew, he did do that. He did tell them both the same thing, that he wanted to leave there with them, and the whole asking their father for their hand in marriage. And AD said, it was the father thing. Her father passed away, and that was like a special moment that they shared. And then for him to have that same conversation with Amber, that's what rocked her. But Vanessa asks, has she ever met Matthew in person? And AD says yes. They went out on a couple dates. I don't know what that means. Apparently, the second date, she said the first date, he just wanted to meet up and apologize for what happened in the pods. And then the second day, he cooked her chicken and rice, and she went to his apartment. I don't know what happened, but she said that they realized that they weren't in a good match, because she said his entire life is scheduled to the minute. Like, he schedules every single thing. And AD is more of a blow with the wind kind of girl. So they were incompatible in the end, and it just fizzled out. And Clay is sitting on the couch he just keeps blinking. I don't know what he's thinking, but I've never seen someone blink so much in my life than this Clay man on Love is Blind season 6. He just constantly blinks. It's just so strange. I guess maybe it's stress or something. And then we found out from Chelsea and Kwame that Chelsea is helping Cass for Love is Blind. I had heard that last season or last year sometime. And Micah, Izzy, and Jess, they're all going to be on Perfect Match 2. And Jess and Micah are now BFFs, and Izzy said he fixed his credit, and everyone laughs. And then we see Clay. Okay, so I saw this online. Love is Blind, their Instagram page. They posted Clay heating up Gatorade in a microwave, and I was like, what the hell? I have never in my black ass life seen someone put Gatorade in a microwave. But actually, that's not what happened. He was heating up pasta or something, and the Gatorade bottle was like an optical illusion. And Clay said, I promise y'all, I have never heated up Gatorade in a microwave before. That never happened. So that's good to know. But that was the end of the reunion, and that's the end of Love is Blind season 6. I'm kind of sad we don't have any episodes to look forward to next week. But I just want to say that Nick and Vanessa did a really good job. They get a lot of slack for their hosting skills, and I think they did a really good job hosting season 6 reunion. It's a huge improvement from season 4 and season 5. So I just want to give a shout out to them. And I just want to thank you guys for listening to my podcast. My Love is Blind recaps are my highest viewed podcast. So thank you guys for listening. And I will be back to recap Love is Blind season 7. And don't forget, if you want to support our podcast, to click on one of the links in our bio on our Instagram page. And thanks, guys. See you tomorrow for my recap of the last episode of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Bye-bye.